Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Grilling JR with the voice of professional wrestling, Mr. Jim Ross. Man, I hate to bring you some bad news today, but JR, man, he is hurting for certain. Unfortunately, he had to make a little dentist run that was not all that enjoyable. And as a result, we're having to reach way into the archives, back to 1993. We've got a couple of really cool episodes from JR's old radio show we want to share with you. Actually, one's from 92 and another from 1993. On this first episode that you're going to hear, we've got not one, but two guests. This all went down on February 14th, 1993. And Jim's guests that day were Rick Rude and Cactus Jack. Rick Rude is going to be on the show to discuss his neck injury. Cactus Jack will also be joining the show to talk about his upcoming match against Paul Orndorff at SuperBrawl 3. There's some other news and notes that JR will be going over, that Ron Simmons has a shoulder injury, that Sting and Vader are going to be featured on Entertainment Tonight, that Davey Boy Smith is going to be wrestling his first match with WCW at SuperBrawl 3, and that Ric Flair has signed with WCW and he's expected to be at SuperBrawl 93. You may recall he had just lost that loser leaves match in January on Monday Night Raw against Mr. Perfect. So there's a lot of really fun stuff happening in this episode. So I think you'll dig it, but stay tuned. At the conclusion of that episode, we've got another bonus episode. This one goes all the way back to 1992. So stay tuned for that. But before we get going, I just want to remind you that Manscaped has you hooked up, man. Cheers to the new year for our friends at Manscaped, because your resolutions shouldn't be the only things that are well kept. You see, in 2024, it's the time for new heights, new opportunities, and a new look for your Times Square balls. Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and turn the page on confidence this year. Whether you're looking to maintain a trim or go for that clean shaven look, this trimmer has you covered. It's trusted by over 10 million men worldwide, and now is your time to get a grip on your grooming with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com and use the code JimRoss for 20% off plus free shipping. Happy New Year, or happy new balls. The MVP of 2024 is Manscaped's 5th generation lawnmower. It's not just a trimmer, it's your grooming sidekick. It's got not one, but two skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for a little bit off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. You know where you need to go smooth. It's like having a personal stylist at your fingertips, or, well, wherever you need it. Did we mention this dude is waterproof? You know, a trim in the shower is the only way to start the day. And if you're really looking for the full grooming experience, I highly recommend the Performance Package 5.0. Inside it, you'll see Manscaped's fantastic lawnmower and their incredible ear and nose hair trimmer, and a game changer in my household, and all their essential aftercare products too, like Crop Soother Ball Aftershave Lotion. I know that sounds like a joke, but it's not. It's awesome. Not only that, they've also got the Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant. Yep, you heard that right. Deodorant for your balls. I bet you didn't think you needed that, but somebody in your life probably recommended it. As a gesture for the new year, they even threw in 2 free gifts, Boxers 2.0 and the Shed 2.0 toiletry bag. Let's face it, boys and girls, resolutions might come and go, but a well-groomed you, or your husband, if it's one of you 3 ladies who are listening, that can be here to stay, thanks to Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code JimRoss at manscaped.com, because nothing says Happy New Year like a deal that leaves your balls and your budget feeling refreshed. Embrace a new you, and definitely embrace a new trimmer, courtesy of Manscaped. And now let's get to the show. I think you're going to love this episode. Man, you want to talk about the Wayback Machine. It's hard to believe that this was 31 years ago. Here's Rick Rude and Cactus Jack talking to JR way back when.
Now, it's Wrestling with Jim Ross on News Talk Radio, AM 750 WSB. You can talk with America's leading wrestling broadcaster and his guests. Call 872-0750. Now, here's Jim Ross.
And a very pleasant good evening, everyone, and welcome to the program. We're going to have a very enlightening program here today. I think a very entertaining program here on Valentine's Day. A very happy Valentine's Day from all of us. In our first half hour, we will be speaking to the former United States heavyweight champion and one of the great athletes in the game today, Ravishing Rick Rude, here on our program. And then in the second half hour, we will talk to Cactus Jack, who will meet Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff 1 week away from SuperBrawl at SuperBrawl 3 on pay-per-view. We'll also, in the hour, preview the SuperBrawl 3 card. I'll give you some predictions and some thoughts on that particular event. And we'll also take a look at the WCW calendar of events. We'll preview next weekend's television broadcast. And, of course, we'll be taking your telephone calls here as we progress through the hour as well. Some headlines to get to very quickly before we talk to Ravishing Rick Rude. It seems as if Nature Boy Ric Flair has signed a contract with WCW. The contract goes into effect on February 16th, we understand. And he will be at SuperBrawl 3, but we do not know in what capacity. We will update everyone on that situation on the Wrestling Hotline this Saturday. And also, we understand, our sources say that Davey Boy Smith is scheduled to wrestle at SuperBrawl 3 against Wild Bill Irwin. A very important match, first time back for Wild Bill Irwin in quite some time, and first time ever at a pay-per-view for Davey Boy Smith. Also, Ron Simmons' shoulder injury may be a little more serious than expected. His status next Sunday at SuperBrawl has a little cloud over it, and we'll certainly update you on that on the hotline as well. Of course, Simmons scheduled to take on Dustin Rhodes for the United States Heavyweight Championship. Also, sometime this week on Entertainment Tonight, Sting and Big Van Vader will be featured. I don't know exactly the night, but I do know that the material was taped and sent to Entertainment Tonight to air before Sunday's SuperBrawl 3 event. And Jim Cornette's Heavenly Bodies will meet the Rock and Roll Express. That match added to SuperBrawl 3. If you watch the main event on TBS tonight, you know the circumstances surrounding that. We'll be taking your telephone calls and talking about those situations as the hour progresses. But now I do want to go to the telephone and talk to the former United States heavyweight champion, a man that has been on the injury list. And, Rick, we do appreciate you taking time to be with us here tonight.
It's my pleasure, Mr. Ross.
What has been a lot of fans have called regarding your injury. Tell me exactly the diagnosis of your neck injury.
It's a ruptured disc between the 5th and 6th vertebrae. It causes my left arm and hand to go numb, and for quite a spell I was having real dizzy spells.
The problem, very, very serious, of course, in light with so many spinal cord injuries, unfortunately, to guys like Dennis Byrd and Mike Utley. That's a real dangerous area. And I know you get good care. What's the prognosis now? What's your status physically?
Well, right now I feel pretty good. The numbness has gone away. Every now and then it comes back, but nowhere near the amount that it was. And my strength has held up pretty well. The neck injury will heal, Jim, but it's the pain that the WCW has caused me, and I don't know how long that's going to take to heal. Obviously, they're trying to railroad me out of this sport. First of all, they forced me to defend my title twice on Halloween Havoc. Have you ever, in the history of this sport, heard of such a thing before then, Jim?
Quite frankly, I have not.
No, you haven't. And all of a sudden, Rick Rude gets a disc injury, and under doctor's orders, I cannot perform. Not that I didn't want to. That was a chance of my lifetime. I was going to become the WCW World Champion, and the whole world knew it. The disc injury kept me from doing that. And then, after the WCW has been notified by my doctors the length of time that I would be out, they come up with a 30-day rule. When, Jim Ross, in the history of this sport, have you ever heard of such a rule?
Well, quite frankly, I've heard of the rule. I've heard it also being not strictly adhered to from time to time. I know exceptions have been made.
Example, Sting when he cracked his ribs?
Yeah, I can even go back farther than that. Dory Funk Jr. got an extension one time after injuries resulting in a car wreck. So they have made extensions on the rule. I don't know why they didn't make an exception in your case.
They did make an exception in my case. They stripped me of the title. That was the exception. That wasn't the rule.
Well, the bottom line now is that Dustin Rhodes is the United States heavyweight champion.
But is he? Is he really the United States champion?
Well, I
haven't even watched your television show since I've been off. I've been so depressed about this whole situation. But does Dustin Rhodes actually have the nerve to walk around holding his head up, calling himself the United States champion when he never beat the champion to attain the belt?
Well, I'm sure that he probably feels, too, that it was somewhat of a tainted victory, quite frankly. but he does have possession of the belt, and he will be defending it in 1 week at SuperBrawl. And that, my next question, you've wrestled Dustin Rhodes in the past. You've wrestled Ron Simmons in the past. You know both men quite well. They'll be wrestling for what you perceive as your title. But casting that aside, what's your evaluation of the match? How would you analyze this particular match between these two individuals?
Well, I'd have to give the edge strength and speed and agility to Ron Simmons, overall a better athlete. But as far as wrestling maneuvers in the ring, I'm going to have to give the edge to Dustin Rhodes. One way or another, neither man, whoever comes out with the title, can call themselves champion until they take on and defeat Ravishing Rick Rude.
When you return to action, which I understand is going to be around March 1st, is that still pretty accurate?
Yes, it is.
As far as you're concerned, is your intention to, your priorities to first attempt to regain the United States title, or is it to seek a championship match, perhaps with Big Van Vader? What will be your first priority?
Well, the way I'm thinking about it, Jim, is maybe I should just go for the title match, the world title match, off the bat. Maybe my chances of getting a title match as in a lower-ranked contender are greater, because I have been the number one contender, or I was the number one contender, for over 15 months. I became the United States champion on my first day into the WCW.
I remember.
And for 15 months, I didn't get a shot at the world title. So maybe my chances are going to be better if I'm ranked lower at just going for the world title and Big Van Vader.
It does seem strange that you could be ranked that long at the top and not get any more championship opportunities. Could you perhaps look at poor management? Did that have something to do with, you weren't negotiating for yourself, quite honestly, during that 15-month period?
Well, that's true, but it would seem to me that the matchmakers would book the matches. And it would seem to me, not only does it seem strange that I didn't get title matches after 15 months in the number one position, also the 2-match in a night seems strange, and also relinquishing my belt due to an injury, that seems strange. And if you put all those together, it almost seems like the WCW is trying to railroad Rick Rude out of the sport, but they can't do it.
Well, the big event next Sunday, I know that the fans will miss your participation in that event because you are a phenomenal athlete. I've said that on many occasions. I certainly stand by that point. Looking at the feature event of the pay-per-view, you're a veteran of the sport. I'm assuming you've been in leather strap matches in your career at some point in time. The Sting Big Van Vader match causing a lot of discussion. I certainly feel that Sting is going to be a major underdog. And quite frankly, I think Van Vader's going to win that match. What's your opinion of Vader at 450, Sting at approximately 250, strapped together in this situation?
Well, I agree with you, Jim. And the deciding factor there is the fact that they will be strapped together. Sting, in order to beat Van Vader, would have to stay away from the man for a certain amount of time to wear Vader down, to where he can't catch his breath, and finally take him off his feet and finally beat him. But strapped to Van Vader, there's no way that Sting is going to be able to stay away for that amount of time. I think it could be the end for Sting.
So your prognosis is to be back in competition sometime the first week of early part of March, and we certainly wish you well on your physical recovery, and I'm sure that the minute you walk back into WCW around March 1st, that you're going to be right back in the thick of the title picture.
Well, I appreciate it, Jim. You don't know how much I'm looking forward to being back.
All right. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. I appreciate you taking your time here on Valentine's Day. I know a man of your vast resources that Valentine's Day is almost like a national holiday. It's Rick
$20,000 in flowers and candies, sweets for my sweets.
All right. Well, have a great one, and thank you for your time.
Take care.
All right. Thanks very much. Ravishing Rick Rude, the former United States heavyweight champion. In our second half hour, we'll be talking to Cactus Jack, who meets Paul Orndorff at SuperBrawl 3. When we come back, we'll take your calls. This is Wrestling with Jim Ross on News Talk Radio, AM 750 WSB.
This is Tony Schiavone of World Championship Wrestling. You're listening to Wrestling with Jim Ross on AM 750 WSB. If you'd like to call and talk, call in Atlanta at 872-0750 or outside of Atlanta, 1-800-WSB-TALK.
And welcome back, everyone, to the program here tonight. Our meteorologist, You know him, you love him. Kirk Headlock Mellish says that tonight, increasing clouds, low of 36 degrees here in Atlanta. Tomorrow, turning mostly cloudy with rain tomorrow in Atlanta toward the evening. High of 47, low of 43. Right now, it's 41 degrees on top of Peachtree. Taking a quick look at the WCW calendar of events. This Tuesday night, WCW will be down in Dothan, Alabama at the Civic Center. The action in Dothan starts at 7 o'clock. And then on Thursday night, the 18th, in Live Oak, Florida at the Sewanee County Fairgrounds. This Friday night, the 19th, in the Memorial Coliseum in Jacksonville, Florida, one of the great cities for WCW wrestling. And then on Saturday night, the action moves to the Northwest Park Gym in Cedartown, Georgia. Big card in Cedartown, Georgia this Saturday night. That's the 20th at the Northwest Park Gymnasium. And, of course, 1 week from tonight, the action will be in Asheville, North Carolina at SuperBrawl 3. We'll be giving you that phone number a little bit later in the program if you'd like to inquire about tickets. Returning to center stage on Tuesday, the 23rd. Baltimore, Maryland, the arena on the 25th. That's Thursday, February 25th. Waldorf, Maryland, Thomas Stone High School on Friday, February 26th. Detroit, Michigan, Cobo Arena. That'll be on Saturday night, the 27th of February. And then on Sunday afternoon, February 28th, 3 o'clock at the UIC Pavilion in Chicago. We are going to go now to the telephones, try to get some calls in before we've got to take another break here. Let's talk to Daryl in Marietta. Daryl, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross, and I thank you for holding, sir.
Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
I have a couple of questions about a couple of people for you.
Okay.
Number one, where is Tommy Rich? What is he doing? And does he have any plans for returning to WCW anytime down the road?
Well, Daryl, as far as I know, Tommy still lives here in Georgia and is competing in the area from time to time. I've kind of lost track of him since he's been gone from WCW. I don't know what Tommy's goals are for the future, but I know that, I'm sure that he would enjoy competing in WCW again. I just don't know if the feeling is mutual. But Tommy's still got some fire left, and he's wrestling around the Georgia area. And Daryl, we appreciate your call. Let's talk to David in Austell. Hi, David.
Hey, Jim. How you doing?
Good.
Jim, I got a couple of comments and then a question.
Okay.
I'd just like to say I wish Rick Rude the best in his rehabilitation. I think he's a great athlete, and we can't wait for him to come back.
All right.
And Jim Ross, as WCW claims to have the toughest athletes around, it's a good thing they're bringing the toughest of all back, Ric Flair.
Yeah, he's tough as nails. There's no doubt about that.
But, Jim, what I want to ask you is, I know he's been injured, but is Diamond Dallas Page returning to WCW anytime soon?
I think the Diamond Dallas Page contract has expired, and I know he's still rehabilitating his shoulder, but I don't know what the plans are to bring him back to WCW at this time. I think his agreement with the company has expired. At least that's what I've heard.
And I hate to break it up, but we got to take a time out right now because I want to tell you about something that has absolutely changed my life. I'm so passionate about this product. Today's episode is brought to you by 8 Sleep. 8 Sleep's pod cover is redefining sleep, leveraging data and technology to improve your health in a way that no other company is doing. And I have used a similar product that was an old school product that used to advertise on our show years ago, and I absolutely loved it. And I thought, man, it don't get no better than this. And then I'll be honest, I saw 8 Sleep on social media, and I was so excited, I sent it to our podcast partner, the guy who helps arrange some of our advertising. And I said, Dave, we got to find these guys. We found them at Podcast Movement last year in Denver. We were so excited to see this product, talk about this product, and I'll be honest, I was excited to try it. But you know who was even more excited to try it? My wife. Man, she has been tracking everything with one of those watches you wear that keeps all the data and the analytics for your day-to-day life. But this 8 Sleep, dude, woo, son, it's changed our life. I cannot tell you how much we enjoy it. First of all, it fits right over your mattress. I'm talking about just cover it up. Just think about that. It's like a mattress cover. So you're not getting a new mattress. It just goes on top of it. Not only that, this thing is whisper quiet, and it leverages water's amazing thermal properties to keep your bed at the perfect temperature, whether it's hot or cold or whatever. Not only that, the app is incredible. I'm telling you, it's going to tell you how many minutes of REM sleep you got, how many minutes of deep sleep you got. It even gives you a score. Like, think of it like a test. So you can do like 0 to 100, I guess, or maybe it's 1 to 99. I don't know. But the point is, you can say, hey, I want my bed to be this temperature at this time, and then I want to wake up at this time. This dude has an alarm in it. It'll vibrate you to wake you up. Not only that, it cools you down. Maybe you're like my wife. She wants to get in a warm bed this time of year. But as she sleeps, she knows she gets better sleep when she's cooler. I mean, that's not like just her opinion. Sleep science shows in order to sleep our best, our body temperature needs to drop in the early and middle part of sleep and then rise in the morning. So I like climbing in a cool bed. My wife likes climbing in a slightly warmer bed, but then it cools her down even more. And I just want to get in cold and stay cold, but then it warms you up to wake you up. And then when you wake up, man, you can click that button, end tracking, tells you your score. How many REM minutes did you get? How much deep sleep did you get? It's fantastic. Not only that, the pod cover will improve your sleep automatically because it adjusts your bed's temperature based on your individual needs. Think about that. The cover can be added, as I said, to any bed, just like a fitted sheet, but it's two sides. It allows you and your partner. So like I could be at 55 degrees, Megan could be 110 degrees. We decide what we want for our side of the bed for our sleep. Not only does it keep you at the perfect temperature all night, it also tracks all of your sleep and health metrics. I have seen a great increase in our sleep when we sleep out of town. When we have to stay in a hotel like I'm doing this weekend down in Tampa, I won't have it. I know I will not sleep as good. And for years and years when my wife would travel, on our way home, we would talk about, hey, what do you miss the most? Is it the dogs? Is it our shower? Is it my recliner? Hey, and you know, I got one of those washlet gimmicks on my toilet. You don't have those in hotels. I'm thinking, hey, maybe it's my toilet. We have the exact same answer every time. It's our 8 Sleep. We love our mattress. We love this product. We really believe in it. I know you will too. If you're a highly productive person, if you feel like you're getting sluggish in the afternoon, if you want to stay sharp and be at your best in 2024, I highly recommend this. I didn't really understand how important sleep was until I was a little older. Now that I understand it, it's a high priority in my life, and my quality of life is much better. I'm more productive. I'm less sluggish. I have more energy. I can accomplish more. You will too. 8 Sleep is the real deal. There's no better way to improve your day-to-day life than better sleep. And the easiest way to do that, in my opinion, is 8 Sleep's pod cover. Start the new year right and invest in the rest you deserve with the 8 Sleep pod. And I've mentioned, I've tried other products. This is the best one. I've done all the homework. I've done all the research. I'm telling you, in my honest, unbiased opinion, even if these folks never advertise with us again, I will use my 8 Sleep until the wheels fall off. It is a 10 out of 10 product. I can't wait for you to try it. Go right now to 8sleep.com/JR. They'll get you $200 off plus free shipping on the pod cover by 8 Sleep when you go to 8 Sleep. That's EIGHT sleep.com/JR. They'll get you $200 off and free shipping. You will not regret it. Check it out. 8sleep.com/JR.
Thanks, David, for your call. Let's talk to Dennis in Mableton. Dennis, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross on AM 750 WSB.
How you doing, Jim?
Good.
I'd just like to clear up something. I have a question. I was listening to your hotline yesterday, and you said something about being at your last broadcast on the TV next week. Is that true or not?
Yeah, that's true, Dennis. I'm going to. I've been reassigned by WCW, and this Saturday night on WCW Saturday Night will be my final television broadcast for the company. I've been reassigned to. I'm going to be working in television syndication and traveling around the country and visiting with the stations and trying to place our syndicated television programs on various stations around the country. And so it's after being on 52 weeks a year for about almost 11 years, I'm certainly going to miss it. And but that was the decision that the company wanted to make. They wanted to take another direction in the broadcast area, and they've given me the opportunity to contribute in another area, and I'm going to certainly do my best to do that.
I have a comment. I was reading the Journal paper Wednesday, and I was reading something about Bill Watts. He resigned as executive vice president. I read that. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, he also has left the company. I don't know really all about that situation. I'd prefer not to comment on it because it was a personal matter between Mr. Watts and the organization. So we should leave it that way and respect their privacy there. Let's see. Let's talk to Chris in Austell. Chris, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross. How you doing?
How are you, Jim?
Good.
I have a question and some comments.
All right.
At SuperBrawl 3, will the Wrecking Crew be wrestling?
I don't think so, but I'm not sure. They may wrestle in a match before they come on the air.
And my comments, I cannot wait for Rick Rude to come back. I mean, basically the U.S. belt, like he said, was his belt, and it just makes me mad as hell to see WCW treat a great athlete like this.
Well, he'll have the chance to, I'm sure, regain that belt somewhere down the road, and he won't be down long. He's too good an athlete to not be at the top of the heap. Now, at the in the second half hour of the program, we're going to be talking to Cactus Jack live, and so bear with us. This is Wrestling with Jim Ross on News Talk Radio, AM 750 WSB.
Now, more with America's leading wrestling broadcaster. It's Wrestling with Jim Ross. You can talk with Jim Ross and his guests by calling 872-0750. Now, here's Jim Ross.
Welcome back, everyone, to the program. We'll be talking to Cactus Jack in just a moment or two here on the broadcast. Again, if you want to be a part of the program, 872-0750, our national number toll-free, 1-800-WSB-TALK. We have Jody in Dallas, Texas on the line. We have Brad in Lansing, Michigan. And we have David in Chamblee, and we're going to get to David. He's been holding a long time. David, thanks for holding, and we welcome you to the program.
Well, how you doing, Jim?
Good, thanks.
I have a comment and a question. First, I would like to congratulate you on a job well done at WCW.
Well, thank you.
And wish you well in your new job.
I'm not leaving the company.
You're not leaving.
I'm still going to be an employee.
Okay,
and,
you're still going to be there.
I'm still going to be doing the radio show on Sunday nights, and I'm still going to be working with WCW. I'm just going to be working in a different capacity.
All right.
So the upper management folks decided to take a different direction in the broadcast team and let me give me the opportunity to contribute in another area, and that's what we're going to do the best to do.
But I really do hope that you're going to return for the '93 season with the Falcons.
Boy, I do too.
You did a great job this year.
Well, thanks. I do too. I've already renewed my season ticket, so I'm going to be in the stadium one way or the other. I hope I'm on the broadcast. That was a lot of fun.
That's really great, and I'd like to end up with a question.
Okay.
You re-signed Mr. Ric Flair February 16th. Is he returning to recover the coveted NWA championship belt that he he never lost it? I mean,
well, that's
he didn't re-sign with WCW.
Yeah, that's a lot. There's a lot of speculation that he's going to want to challenge the winner of the Barry Windham Great Muta match right away. I don't know if that's going to be his objective or if his objective is to go after Big Van Vader and the WCW belt. That's something that Flair is going to have to decide. I'm going to try to talk to him on a taped version of our program next Sunday, and that's exactly one of the questions I promise you I'm going to ask him. I talked to him Friday. We did set up an interview for next week because next Sunday's show is going to be taped because of SuperBrawl. I'm going to be watching it on TV like I hope a lot of you are. So we're going to tape our show next week, but I'm going to try to talk to several stars, including Ric Flair. I can spend the hour with him quite easily if he has the time. So we hope to have some of those questions perhaps answered right here next Sunday night at 9.
He is a great man, and I'm glad he's coming back. And with the boxing, as you know, they have 3 coveted belts.
Well, yeah.
This is what I'm looking at here now. I see a WCW belt, and I see an NWA belt. And that was the question that I'd like to be answered, and I appreciate being on your show.
All right, David, thank you. We appreciate you being with us here tonight. Let's get our guest, Cactus Jack, on. Cactus, how are you tonight, sir?
Hey, Jim, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Could be better. We are 7 days and counting from a match that you certainly have taken big strides in perfecting. Certainly one of the most dangerous matches in the entire game of professional wrestling, and that's one where falls count anywhere.
That's right. It's the match that I stake my reputation on. When I leave the sport, I don't know how much is going to be left in my body, but I'm going to need my reputation to take with me. So it's like Dusty Rhodes had the cowbell, Ivan Koloff has a Russian chain. Cactus Jack's legacy is going to be falls count anywhere. And I don't want, and I won't let Paul Orndorff take part of that legacy with him.
The thing that I would think that Orndorff presents many problems, but one thing that certainly perhaps can't be measured, and that is the man's experience and his intensity. He has a great deal of courage, And he's going to be quite a test, I would think. And I'm sure you would agree. You've been in the ring with the guy on many occasions. You know much better than I how tough he is.
Well, I'll say Orndorff's maybe the most vicious individual I've been in the ring with. Not as far as pure size, but as far as just coming at you with tenacity, aggression, and he just doesn't get tired. I think that he holds a lot against Cactus Jack, but he goes out there and he says that he's put more people in the hospital than anybody. And maybe I take a little objection to that, probably because it's true. Mr. Orndorff's been in the sport a lot longer than I have. He's probably put more people in the hospital than Cactus Jack has. And that, before Falls Count Anywhere, that was my calling card. Cactus Jack couldn't necessarily win a world title, but he could sure send you to the hospital. So what I told Mr. Wonderful, what I'll tell you here, is I'm going to try to even up that little score by sending Mr. Wonderful to the hospital. But before and above that, I'm going to win that match in Asheville at the pay-per-view Falls Count Anywhere.
Another match that certainly has the characteristics to be a Falls Count Anywhere type situation, in as much as it's a lights-out, non-sanctioned event, is the strap match between Sting and Big Van Vader. And for the fans that may be listening to this broadcast, wondering why they're listening to our wrestling program, certainly don't understand what a strap match is. Both men will be attached wrist to wrist by approximately a 10 or 15-foot leather strap. The object of the match is to pull your opponent around and touch all four ring corners. And with Vader at 450 and Sting at 250, I mean, simple mathematics makes this a heck of a challenge for Sting. You have been in the ring with both men. How do you see it?
Well, I think, first of all, that Sting's philosophy towards wrestling usually is to win a match and to win world titles. But here what you're talking about is virtually having to have your opponent knocked out in order to drag him to fall four corners of the ring. First off, I don't think that Sting can knock out Van Vader. I do think that Sting is capable of winning the World Championship belt from anyone. But I don't recall Sting having a great record of hospital journeys. I don't recall Sting having a great record of permanent or temporary knockouts. So I think the odds of him actually getting Van Vader down on the mat and being able to drag 450 pounds around the ring is almost nil. Personally, I don't know what Vader's expertise in the strap match is. I do know that he's got Harley Race on his side, and Harley Race does have a background in that type of match. So I'm going to say, yeah, Sting's a great wrestler, but so is Big Van Vader, and this is Big Van Vader's challenge. He lost to Sting at the last pay-per-view, and I think he's got more than just a world title to defend. He's got his honor. So, Cactus, this week, I know that you'll be down in Dothan, Alabama on Tuesday, I understand, and I guess it's an opportunity, or hopefully in your behalf, to stay injury-free this week and try to go into next Sunday's event physically at 100%. And keep your fingers crossed that you can come out that way. Well, Jim, I'm hoping to go in at about 70%, which is where I've been. Yeah. I don't think there's been such thing as an injury-free Cactus Jack in the past 3 years. What I'm hoping, now, Paul Orndorff brought a kind of a skeleton out of my closet. He says he's going to dissect Cactus Jack. He says the fans out there better grow up and see that Cactus Jack is not invulnerable. He can be stopped, and he's going to start with my bad knee. No, it's nobody's secret. I don't know. I guess it's not widely publicized, but I've been out there with a $1,000 brace, basically holding my right knee together. But I think almost out of fear, people don't attack my injuries because they realize that basically when it comes right down to it, Cactus Jack is an animal of instinct. And you go after that leg, then I go after his life. So Paul Orndorff, I mean, if this was another match, maybe it had a little differently. I think what he's seeing and knowing is that to beat Cactus Jack in this game, he's going to try to beat me with a little psychology. Let me know that this is psychological warfare, and he's going to go after an injured body part. Well, Paul Orndorff, go after my injured body part, you may end up in several pieces. All right, Cactus. Well, I'll be watching it on pay-per-view. I wish you the very best of luck, and try to get maybe 75% by next Sunday. Well, Jim, let me say this. Being on the color commentary end while you did play-by-play and being on the other end of the microphone during interviews, let me say that I'm going to miss you on those broadcasts. Now, we hope to have you back there sometime. All right, Cactus. Thank you for your thoughts. And, again, good luck, and thanks for being with us here tonight. Happy Valentine's Day. I know this is a special day for guys like you. It's my biggest day. And like I said, it should be a big day for the fans out there of Cactus Jack, because I may not have always been number one in the WCW rankings, but #1 in the hearts of the fans.
All right, Cactus, thanks very much. And again, good luck on Sunday.
Okay, we got to run a timeout right now. And I want to tell you guys about when I first started podcasting. You know, when I first really started to get serious about podcasting, Bruce Pritchard and I were trying to learn everything we could about podcasting. And they would say things like, don't go longer than an hour. Don't do a bunch of ads. Definitely don't do them at the start of your show. Whatever you do, don't curse. As you know, we did all of that, and it worked out. We sort of broke the status quo. We sort of blazed our own trail. And that's why I really appreciate Harry's. Harry's has done that. They saw customers getting ripped off by questionable products in the shaving industry, and they decided to do something better. Instead of charging the same old ridiculous prices, Harry's found their own way to make beautifully designed razors for a fraction of the other big brands. Exceptional products, honest prices, that's Harry's. Real deal. I was in my office today. John Taylor, a fellow I work with in the mortgage biz, was there, and he happens to be a bald gentleman. And I had just gotten a haircut, and somehow we were talking about razors, and he mentioned that he was a Harry's man. And it's easy to see why. I mean, this thing looks cool in your bathroom, and it has a weighted handle, so it feels cool in your hand too. Not only that, but it's going to be a regular part of your shaving routine. My buddy John says he shaves his head in the shower every single day, and guess what? Harry's to the rescue. He doesn't just shave his head, he shaves his face, and, well, he may shave other things. We're not that close to friends. I don't freaking know. But let me just say this. These are German engineered blades made in their own factory, so these are going to stay sharper longer. And they've even got customizable delivery options for scheduled refills as low as $2. That's like half of what you might pay for the other big brands. You'll get a 5-blade razor, a weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover for just $3. You hear me? $3 at harrys.com/JR. I should also mention that they've got a lot of other products that you might be interested at Harry's. How about some richly lathering, skin-softening body washes in scents like redwood, wildlands, and snow? They've even got extra strength, high quality, amazing smelling deodorant, and it's just $5. They've also got all your hair and other grooming products, everything you need to help define your own unique look and needs. They have the highest customer satisfaction in the entire shaving industry. That's why my buddy John Taylor is a Harry's man, and you will be too. And how about this? They're putting their money where their mouth is. It's a no-risk trial. You don't like your shave? No worries. It's on them. There's a convenient subscription option you can cancel at any time. What are you waiting for? Don't settle for the status quo. Blaze your own trail with Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/JR. That's harrys.com/JR for a $3 trial set. $3, guys. Go check it out right now. harrys.com/JR.
Let's go back to the telephones, and Brad has been holding. Brad is in Lansing, Michigan. Brad, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross on AM 750 WSB.
Hi.
Hi, Brad.
I was wondering if you know that if Ric Flair's going to be in SuperBrawl.
Well, as far as I know, as I mentioned earlier, he's going to be at SuperBrawl. Ric Flair will be in Asheville 1 week from tonight. I don't know the exact role, Brad. I don't know if he's going to be there wrestling, interviewing, or part of the broadcast team. I will find that out this week, and I plan on having that on the hotline, on the wrestling hotline on Saturday. So Ric Flair will be at SuperBrawl again. In what capacity, we do not know. We thank you for your call. Let's talk to Jody in Dallas, Texas. Jody, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross and AM 750 WSB in Atlanta.
Yeah, I got a question about this Slam Jam album.
Okay, I'll try to answer it.
Do you think there would ever be a chance where you could, like, make an album, like the wrestlers' old songs, theme music?
You know, there's so many legality factors, Jody, regarding the music. Some of it, the licensing ran out on it, and some of it they don't have the rights to anymore. And it got to be a real pain, according to what the Business Affairs Office relayed to me, and the information that I received. That's why they're writing all original music, so they don't get into those licensing problems. So I would think that one of the reasons they would stop using some music is because the licensing ran out on it.
Oh, I was just curious because that's what WWF does.
Well, I think that all that music's original. Some of the music in the original, the old, like Sting's old theme song, that wasn't original music. I've heard that music on bumpers on ESPN and places.
Yeah, you don't know where you got that, though?
No, I really don't. I'm sorry. Sure.
Car commercials and stuff.
Yeah, it's one of those generic tracks that you can get, in an audio house. But I'm not real versed on that. We'll get Michael Hayes back on here some night. Maybe he can shed some light on that. We thank you for your telephone call, however. Let's talk to Edwin in Decatur. Edwin, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross. How are you?
Yes, hi, Jim. How you doing tonight?
Good.
All right, I got a comment and a question.
Okay.
First of all, I'd say that Hulk Hogan's my all-time favorite wrestler, and second of all, you are the greatest announcer, and I just like to say, what's your pick for the Barry Windham and Great Muta match for SuperBrawl?
Well, I'll tell you something, and thank you for your comments. I think that after watching the Great Muta, the only way Barry Windham's going to win that match is if he wrestles past his potential. And I want to get into that more after we come back from our next break. As a matter of fact, we'll take that break now. We'll come back and tell you what we're going to do next week. We'll also preview SuperBrawl 3, and we'll talk about what's going to be on TV next weekend as well. You're listening to Wrestling with Jim Ross on News Talk Radio, AM 750 WSB.
This is Michael P.S. Hayes with the Fabulous Freebirds. And, baby, when you're hot, you're hot. And the hottest thing going in talk radio today is Wrestling with Jim Ross here on AM 750 WSB. And if you think you're hot enough to handle it, call 872-0750 or 1-800-WSB-TALK.
Our meteorologist who has never lost a wrestling match, Kirk Headlock Mellish, says that tonight increasing clouds, low of 36 degrees. Tomorrow turning mostly cloudy with rain toward evening. High 47, low 43 right now. It's 39.8 degrees here on Peachtree. Pretty smooth, huh? Mellish would tell you it's 40, but it's actually 39.8. If you are interested in attending SuperBrawl 3 live in Asheville, North Carolina, that event 1 week from tonight at the Civic Center in Asheville. What a beautiful city. Great fans. That will be an electric, enthusiastic, special group of people I know will be in Asheville on Sunday. And the action on pay-per-view starts at 7 o'clock. You can call your local cable company, be a part of that. Or you can be in Asheville. Hey, why not? Sunday night, tickets. For information, you can call for tickets or for more information at 704-251-9999. That's 704-251-9999. That's during normal business hours. The big event there, Sting and Big Ben Vader. I think Vader's going to win that match. I really think that Sting has bitten off the old cliche more than he could chew in this one. Barry Windham, the Great Muta. Windham has got to wrestle up to his ability for an extended length of time. He has to be consistent, in other words. He certainly has the ability to beat Muta, but I don't think that he will. We'll find out. Could be wrong. Have been many times, actually. U.S. title, Dustin Rhodes versus Ron Simmons. Simmons' shoulder situation certainly leaves that a cloud over that match. I'm going with Rhodes in that one. Rock and Roll Express to meet the Heavenly Bodies. I'll tell you, with James E. Cornette at ringside, anything can happen. Probably will. I'm going with the Heavenly Bodies in that one. Cactus Jack, I feel, will win the Falls Count Anywhere match against Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. I think Flying Brian Pillman and Stunning Steve Austin will win their tag match against Marcus Alexander Bagwell and Eric Watts. And Tuco Scorpio and Chris Benoit. I'm leaning toward Benoit, but I'm gonna go with Scorpio. He's kind of been in a minor slump, in my opinion. I think his knees had bothered him some. I think he's gonna get back untracked. So I'm gonna pick Scorpio, my guess, over Benoit. Davey Boy Smith, I think, will beat Wild Bill Irwin. But what will Nature Boy Ric Flair do? We'll find out. I'll have that on the hotline for you on Saturday. We're going to go back to telephone calls. I want to go down here, Daryl, and talk to John, who's on his nickel in Watertown, Wisconsin. John, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross, and I thank you for calling.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ross. This evening, I just have a quick comment.
Okay.
This weekend, I recently found out that you will no longer be with any of the syndicated programs or any of the television shows on TBS. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for the many years that I've watched you. You have brought wrestling commentating up to a new level of excellence, and you are sorely going to be missed.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to miss doing it. I'm still a big fan, and I love wrestling, and it's hard to explain to people the feeling you get in an arena full of people that are seeing something that they really enjoy, that their inhibitions are thrown out the window. They're just having fun. They're having a good time. And that's certainly a real rush, as Hawk would say. But I'm going to miss it, too. But I'm looking forward. I'm looking at this new assignment as a new adventure and some new challenges. And I've been in syndicated sales before, so it's nothing new for me. And I'm going to miss doing the play-by-play, but I'm going to be back here on the radio every Sunday night. And you just never know what could happen. Maybe we can get another hour here and can have more time to talk to everybody. But I really do appreciate those comments. And Saturday's going to be kind of a sentimental time for me. We've already taped the program, so I'm going to watch it, but that's probably one I'll tape. I don't have a lot of my broadcast, but I'm probably going to tape that one because it'll be the last one. So we thank you, John. Anything else?
Just one more question. I subscribed to a newsletter and said that your last official assignment was going to be broadcasting at SuperBrawl 3, but from the way it sounds tonight, it doesn't sound like you have that assignment.
No, as a matter of fact, I'm not going to be broadcasting SuperBrawl 3. I'm going to be home watching it on pay-per-view in the comfort of my own home on the big screen television. Tony Schiavone and Jesse Ventura will be at ringside. I think Eric Bischoff and Missy Hyatt will be the host, co-host, and Larry Zabisco and Michael Hayes will be doing some interviews. So I'll be watching it at home, and I'm sure enjoying it like all the fans that'll be along on pay-per-view. And, John, we thank you for your call tonight from up there in Watertown, Wisconsin. I'll be traveling up to Wisconsin soon, and I'll try to look up where's Watertown. Let's go back to the telephones very quickly here and talk to Joe in Douglasville. Joe, you've been holding a long time, and I wanted to get you on.
Yeah, I need to make a comment, 2 quick questions.
Okay.
My comment is, I thought WCW Saturday Night was good. I enjoyed watching it. And
Good.
I just want to know, at SuperBrawl 3, when the Heavenly Bodies fight the Rock and Roll Express, will the Smoky Mountain titles be on the line?
Joe, I don't think so. From what I understand, that will just be a grudge match. I don't think their title will be on the line there, but that'll be a great match on the pay-per-view. I want to thank everybody for being with us tonight. My thanks to Ravishing Rude and also to Cactus Jack, who were on the air with us live tonight. And next week, because of SuperBrawl 3, our program will be taped next week, which is customary when we have our pay-per-views. I'm going to attempt to speak to Nature Boy Ric Flair. I'm going to try to talk to the American Dream Dusty Rhodes and several people this week, and we'll have those taped interviews for you right here next Sunday. We'll be back with you live in 2 weeks on Sunday, February the 28th. So we do appreciate you listening. Be sure to tune in to WCW Saturday Night, yours truly's final broadcast. It's been a great ride. We certainly appreciate it. We'll talk to you again on Sunday. Good night, everybody.
All right, so that's the end of part 1 of our rewind here. We've got all of these old great classic episodes of Jim Ross on the radio talking wrestling. It was a different time, man, was it not? So we just listened to a great tape from 1993. Now we're going to go back to 1992. We had Rick Rude and Cactus Jack, but on this episode in 92, we've got Jake Roberts and Jesse Ventura. Jim's going to welcome Jake Roberts to the show to talk about his signing with WCW. And of course, his current feud with Sting. And Jesse Ventura will even join the show to talk about calling his first match in the Omni and the entire state of WCW. By the way, you're also going to hear Jim talk about some other news and notes, like how Chono won the NWA heavyweight tournament in Japan. That's right. My big gold belt, Chono won it here, and it was the NWA world title in 1992. As you might recall, at this point, Ric Flair had already left WCW, taken the big gold belt with him, showed up with it on the WWF. There was a lawsuit. Eventually, the title came back to the NWA, but by that point, there was already a new belt and a new WCW champion. Anyway, you know all that. I just think it's cool that we've got JR talking about Chono winning that strap. He'll also be talking about the Clash of the Champions, the 20th anniversary show, and what a big deal that was. I won't give you any spoilers, but if you remember that show, well, there was a very special guest there. JR is also going to tease a new look and on-air talent that's going to be debuted on WCW TV. And Michael Hayes is now a new consultant and manager for Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton. So there's a lot of fun stuff happening here in 1992. And it's interesting because we know that this is not going to be the beginning of an incredibly long run for Jake Roberts. And we know that unfortunately Jesse and JR had some hard feelings once upon a time. So this dynamic, I think, is going to be interesting to take a listen to. And it's fun too, because, JR always says it comes down to cash and creative, the 2 C's of wrestling. And he's been honest in recent years where he said, hey man, I didn't give Jesse a fair shake. I was upset because he was making more money than me and I took it out on him, and that wasn't his fault. He didn't, what should he have done? Made less money? So I just think that's really mature that JR is able to sort of own that and come out with it. But he's always honest. It's about cash and creative. Hey, speaking of cash, if you're looking to save some, you don't have to get too creative with Rocket Money. Rocket Money is going to help you save money that you've been wasting and you didn't even realize it. And I have to admit, I think I'm on top of this sort of thing. So when I heard about Rocket Money, I thought, I can't save me any money. I do this for a living, buddy. What are you going to save me? We're going to find me. Well, it turns out a lot. My wife and I both signed up for the same streaming service. We didn't realize we were paying for two, but we were. But we watch TV together. We don't need two accounts. We needed one account. Not only that, I signed up for a streaming service because I wanted to see one fight. But once the fight was over, guess what? I kept paying for a year. And my wife, man, she gets excited about some fitness apps. She was signing up for stuff left and right during the pandemic. She didn't use half of that stuff anymore. Rocket Money found it all and they canceled it just like that. Let me ask you, if I was to ask you how many subscriptions you have, would you be able to list them all and how much you're paying? I mean, I would have never guessed what I was actually paying. Let me say it differently. I would have never guessed what I was wasting. Thanks to Rocket Money, though, that's all in the past. You see, Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and it helps you lower your bills. I can see all of my subscriptions in one place, and if I see something I don't want, I can cancel it with a tap. I never have to get on the phone with customer service. I don't have to trade emails. Hey, check this out too. They'll even try to get you a refund for the last couple of months of wasted money. And I can't believe this is real, but now they're even negotiating to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. Check this out. I'm not making this up. All you do is take a picture of your bill and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Does it get any easier? Rocket Money has saved over 5 million users. And on average, we're talking $720 a year. The quick math on that says Rocket Money has saved over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. Think about that. $500 million. Stop wasting money on things you can't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions. Go right now to rocketmoney.com/JR. That's rocketmoney.com/JR. rocketmoney.com/JR. Now, let's get to that show from 1992. Jake Roberts and Jesse Ventura on deck. Here we go.
Now, it's Wrestling with Jim Ross on News Talk Radio AM 750 WSB. You can talk with America's leading wrestling broadcaster and his guests. Call 872-0750. Now, here's Jim Ross.
Thanks very much, and welcome everyone to the program. We're gonna have a very fast-paced and a very exciting program here tonight. I'll be talking in the first half hour to Jake the Snake Roberts. In the second half hour, we'll be talking with Jesse the Body Ventura. We'll be taking your calls as well. If you want to be a part of the program, our number is 872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. Right now, all 9 lines are busy, so if you'll just keep trying, we're going to get to the calls in just a few moments. Tonight, we've got a lot of things to talk about, including the NWA heavyweight tournament that just concluded a few days ago over in Japan. The new NWA World's Heavyweight Champion is Masahiro Chono, and Chono was the athlete that you may have seen on some of our broadcasts from time to time. He's the athlete that was trained by Lou Thez. He won the tournament. We'll be going over that tournament a little bit later on. Also, I'll be telling you about the Clash of the Champions, Wednesday, September 2nd, live here on TBS. From Atlanta Center Stage, 8:05 Eastern Time. 2.5 hours live in prime time. The theme will be the 20th anniversary of wrestling on TBS, and we're going to be bringing out a lot of vintage clips for that event, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun for fans of the Superstation over the years in wrestling. Also, we'll take you around the horn, so to speak, on the upcoming schedule. In WCW, a lot of big live events coming up in the next few weeks. We got a big weekend on TV. Most of the television shows will have a relatively new look starting this weekend because there'll be a bevy of new television hosts and color analysts and so forth that will be starting this week as well. We'll talk about that. Also, the world heavyweight title situation is really unique. Ron Simmons did retain the title by defeating Big Van Vader this afternoon here in Atlanta in the Omni. But there's a lot of challengers, including the number 1 challenger, Ravishing Rude Rude, plus Cactus Jack, who we know will meet Ron Simmons as a part of the big Clash of the Champions on Wednesday, September the 2nd. Also, Sting, I think, deserves a rematch in that confrontation. Stunning Steve Austin's the television champion, been ranked very highly in the top 10. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat will be an excellent challenger for the championship. And the Barbarian has been unscathed here in WCW. And, of course, my guest here in the first half hour, Jake the Snake Roberts, will also, no doubt, be somewhere vying for that championship as time goes on. We'll also be talking about the World Tag Team situation. It's very interesting that Dr. Death Steve Williams and Terry Bam Bam Gordy have retained the services of Arn Anderson and Beautiful Bobby via Paulie Dangerously to eliminate the Steiner brothers. But what I have found out this is so interesting is that today in the Omni, the fans that attended the event in the Omni, they saw Arn Anderson and Beautiful Bobby with a new manager or a new consultant. I really don't know what role he's going to play, but Michael Hayes is now in a managerial situation with Arn Anderson and Beautiful Bobby Eaton, and we hope to have Michael Hayes on the program next week to explain that situation. As a matter of fact, he and I will debut next Sunday at 6:05 on the main event on TBS, and I'm sure we'll be discussing his arrangement with Arn Anderson and Beautiful Bobby, and where does that leave Paulie Dangerously. And at this time, I want to welcome my guest here in the studio, Jake the Snake Roberts. And Jake, you have impacted WCW as many of us said you would, and certainly, by if it's any indication, last night over 6,500, 7,500 people in Jacksonville, Florida. Today in the Omni, almost 10,000 fans on hand, and they came there, many of them, to see you wrestle Sting. So welcome to the show.
Well, thanks a lot. You know, Jim, I've always been able to walk the way I want to walk and talk the way I want to talk. Jacksonville, no different than the Omni. I did exactly what I wanted to do. Must be nice to be that good, huh?
Well, I guess it would be. The situation, you made the point, and we talked about this last week on the telephone when you were in Chattanooga. You wasted no time. You didn't start at the back of the line. You didn't knock on the door. You kicked it in because you went to the #1 box office attraction in WCW, the Stinger, and made a point. And it was, I thought, very unique. They had to either sue you, arrest you, or hire you. And they have hired you. So I congratulate you on that unique negotiating ploy.
Well, you know, sometimes you just got to reach out there and grab the hand and twist it a little bit to get what you want, and that's exactly what I did. I mean, I've watched for a long time. This is not something I did off the top of my head. I'm a thinker. I've always been a thinker. Snakes are. The snake does not go out and just rush into something. The snake hangs back, waits for the opportunity, and strikes, and that's exactly what I did. I did not come here asking for a job at the WCW. I simply wanted to put them in the position that they had to do it, and I've done it.
The interim when you left the WWF and the time that you were not wrestling, did you, as you were looking at WCW, were you looking at Sting? Was that your focus? Did you have some sort of game plan? Have you scouted the man enough? How well do you know him? Because I know you haven't wrestled him that many times.
Do you think the Falcons go into a game without a game plan?
No, absolutely not.
As good as the Braves are, do you think they go into the game without a game plan?
No.
No. And neither would I. I mean, if I go hunting, don't you think I'd bring a gun?
Of course.
Yeah. Exactly.
I see what you're saying.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. I knew what I was doing. Hey, it's like this. I found myself a bird dog. And by the Cactus Jack, I'm going to call him a bird dog, you know, because that's what he's good for. He's good for pointing it out, hunting it out. Sting was like, you know, it was almost like too easy of a kill. I mean, he was such a big fish to walk into Baltimore and think something wasn't going to happen. Well, when something did happen, he was surprised. Well, Sting, I'm telling you right now, I know you're listening because you'll always listen to what I have to say. If not, you're a fool. Always expect the unexpected from Jake the Snake Roberts.
What is your ultimate goal here in WCW? To eliminate Sting and then go for the world title? Are you really interested in titles? What motivates Jake Roberts?
Well, you've missed it completely. To know where Jake the Snake Roberts is going, you must understand where he's been. And believe me, no one has a clue as to where this man has been. My ultimate goal is not only to take Sting out. If that's part of it, fine. I've told you last week that I don't really want to take the man out. I don't want to have to punish him. But my goal is to simply own WCW. Not the title. I want to own the company. By owning the company, then I can manipulate, do what I want to do. I'm talking about if WCW wants to send another lamb in there to be slaughtered with me, fine. That's what I'll do. I'll do what it takes. I have the tools, I have the ability, and I have the knowledge to do exactly as I want to do. And I'm telling you now, I'm telling Bill Watts now, the big fat cowboy, I'm telling them all. You plant a seed in front of me in the ground that I'm talking about young talent, and you expect it to rain, so that seed will grow. Well, I'm going to make sure it rains real hard and drowns that seed. If you want the sun to make it grow, then I'm going to make sure that sun shines real hot and fries that seed. Other words, you step in front of me, I'm taking you out. I don't play no games. I don't have to.
We're here with Jake the Snake Roberts on Wrestling with Jim Ross, and we certainly will be getting to your phone calls in just a few moments. Jake, it's been announced this weekend that live on TBS on Wednesday night, September the 2nd, at the Clash of the Champions, an 8-man tag team match has been signed, an 8-man elimination tag team match, we should clarify, that will feature Sting, Nikita Koloff, and the Steiner brothers against yourself, Ravishing Rick Rude, Big Van Vader, and the Super Invader. And, of course, in elimination rules, the match will continue until one team, meaning all 4 members, have been pinned or eliminated from the contest. What are your thoughts on that on live television? We're not editing anything here. We're live as it happens, and Sting will be captaining one team, and you the other.
Well, number one, WCW is making a mistake by putting it live where you cannot edit, because that just opens the door for me to do exactly as I want to do, because you can't stop me by chopping up the film later. Number 2, I do not like tag team matches, especially elimination tags. Do you realize what can happen? Say Super Invader falls, goes down. Say Vader falls and goes down. Where does that leave me? 4 on 2? That's not pleasant, not even for me. But I guarantee you this. Those 4 guys want to roll the dice. Sting, I'm telling you this. When you roll the dice, you know what's going to come up, big guy? Snake eyes.
Fans, interesting analogy there. That matchup, one of many that will be signed. We'll be talking more about the card. Of course, already Ron Simmons and Cactus Jack. I think we should clarify that by saying that Cactus Jack will wrestle for the world title on September the 2nd, no matter who the champion is. And
He's such a good puppet.
That would be interesting. What if he wins the world title? And
I would control him.
So
you don't understand Cactus Jack. Cactus Jack is...
Who does? You?
Oh, I do, definitely. He is probably one of the most misunderstood people in the world today. All that man needs is a little nurturing, a little loving and caring, and I can give it to him.
For some reason, I just had a flashback of Charles Manson. I don't know what happened there. I went somewhere for a moment. It must have been the 60s I lived through. Oh, fans, we'll be back with Jake the Snake Roberts, and we'll be taking your calls. We'll be going to the telephones in a few moments. This portion of Wrestling with Jim Ross is brought to you by the WCW magazine, the October edition, on sale right now. And we'll be back on AM 750 WSB after this timeout.
The Stinger here for Jim Ross on AM 750 WSB. Give him a call and talk to him right now on 872-0750 or 1-800-WSB-TALK. Call now.
And we're here with Jake the Snake Roberts in our second half hour. We'll be talking to Jesse the Body Ventura. And I want to remind all of you that Tony Schiavone, Larry Zbyszko, Missy Hyatt, and Teddy Long will be the new broadcast team beginning this Saturday morning on the Power Hour. On 1 week from today, Michael Hayes and I will take over the reins of the WCW main event on TBS. And then in syndication, you can, of course, see Tony Schiavone and The Body on Worldwide Wrestling. Magnum TA will join Eric Bischoff on WCW Pro Wrestling. So there'll be some changes in the announcers in the next few weeks, and a lot more changes are being planned to really spice up these formats and bring the fans the very best wrestling product available on TV. And this weekend on WCW Saturday night, I'll be on with Michael Hayes will be there, Cactus Jack will be there, but also you'll see Ricky Steamboat take on Scotty Flamingo. Jake the Snake Roberts will take on Marcus Alexander Bagwell. Sting's on hand. Big Van Vader will be there. We'll talk to Ron Simmons. So we've got a great program, and we'll be talking about more of the matches. As a matter of fact, the entire card will be finalized and will be announced this weekend on TBS. Let's go to the telephones. Jake the Snake Roberts is with us, and we've got Jeff from Dunwoody. Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
How you doing, Jeff?
I'm fine. Wait, who did you say NWA champion was?
The NWA champion is Masahiro Chono, who beat Ravishing Rick Rude in the finals.
Yeah, and Wait, and I have a question for Jake Roberts.
Go ahead.
Why did you leave the WWF?
Because Jake the Snake Roberts has always been one that likes to push his own buttons. I like to control my own destiny. That's something you should think about. You're a young man right now. You should take the bull by the horns, not let somebody else push you down a garden path. And that's exactly where I was at. I was in a situation that I was unhappy with for the simple reason I wasn't in control. I will be in control at the WCW.
That fatherly advice from Jake, Mr. Rogers Roberts here. And let's go talk to Scott in Rockmart, Georgia. You're on Wrestling with Jim Ross on AM 750 WSB and Jake Roberts.
How's it going, Jim?
Good, thanks.
I respect you. I got the utmost respect for you, but I got a question
and who do
for
you
your
know?
guest. Jake does Undertaker. What does that mean to you? That's why you left the WWF, and you tell everybody.
Are you a brain surgeon? Evidently
No,
not,
that's
because you
why you
haven't got a clue as to why I leave. You know nothing about me. You know nothing about my business. The Undertaker is a great athlete, no doubt, but no match for a snake. Nothing is and never will be.
Let's talk to Richard in Winchester, Kentucky. Richard, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross and Jake the Snake Roberts. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Jim. How you doing?
Good.
I just want to say, Jake, it's really great to have you back in wrestling again. My question was, I know that you and Rick Rude had a feud in the WWF, and what I was wondering was, do you still harbor any resentment toward him, or has that been settled?
Well, it was settled up there, but let me tell you something about athletes in a situation. It's not like it's a team here. You know, it's not a team in the WWF. You're individuals. A moment in time, I will strike anyone, whether it's the hand that feed me or the hand that stepped on me or the man that's done me wrong. I will bite at anyone. WCW, they promote competitive, competition. That's the whole thing, man. Everybody wants that number one spot. Now, if I have to walk over Rude, fine. If it happens to be little Dustin Rhodes, who I squashed today, and I must admit, I can't apologize to my mom because it was something I enjoyed. Whoever it may be, I will do what it takes. That's what it's all about.
Thanks, Richard, for your call tonight from Winchester, Kentucky. Let's talk to David, calling a little closer to home. He's in Chamblee. Hi, David.
How you doing, Jim Ross?
Good, thanks.
Sorry about that. It was a tough loss Saturday night in Tampa Bay, but I hope to see you in the Dome this Sunday.
Yeah, boy, it's going to be great. We're going to be on the air here on the radio at 11 o'clock Sunday morning for the tailgate show, and the Eagles come to town. Less than 800 tickets are available. They're all singles. So I hope the folks get those tickets. It's going to be exciting, and be sure and wear black, David.
Oh, yeah, always.
What's your comment or question for the Snake?
Would like to welcome Jake the Snake Roberts, a person I've looked up to and have followed his career for many, many years, back to the Atlanta wrestling area.
Sounds like a smart young man.
And my question is, Jake, I've known you as always being an impact player. I mean, I've watched you and followed your career, but am puzzled about you dropping a cross on Sting's chest. Does that symbolize anything like...
Not devil worshipping, if that's what you're thinking. That's not what it was about at all. All I was doing was challenging to Sting. Here's a man that stands in front of millions of people week by week and says, this is what to do, this is what to do, and this is what's going to happen for you. Sometimes parents, sometimes idols, sometimes heroes paint a picture that looks so easy to achieve. And I was just telling Sting, here is the cross. This is for you to bear. If you can carry it, you try it. In no way at all was I promoting devil worshiping, because we've all got something to believe in. Fortunately for myself, I believe in myself, but there is a greater power than me, whatever it is, believe me.
Let's talk to Travis in Boston, Massachusetts. Travis, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross on AM 750 WSB, and Jake the Snake Roberts.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Good. Jake, I just want to tell you, I'm sure a lot of people are going to call up and complain about what you did. I think it was great, and I think it's about time someone put that punk stink right in his place. I think you're just the man to do it.
See, there are a lot of people out there, Jim Ross, that are tired of trading their heroes in for ghosts. And that's what I'm saying. I am the new thing, man. I am the new power standing up in the WCW. And I am going to give a lot of people an opportunity to worship or to idolize or to believe in something they can truly believe in. Not some false hero that's going to take a back door out. Because I'll tell you something. If you want the bank robbed, I'll rob it. I won't say that I'll walk in the front door, but I will rob it.
Well, I know you've had a very busy weekend. I want to thank you for being with us here tonight, and you're always, at the very least, a very unique guest.
Well, I like to enjoy myself, but the worst thing about me in some people's eyes is that I'm brutally honest. And I'm going to be brutally honest right now. Cody, Cheryl, the people I care about, Daddy's here. Daddy's going to stay. That's just the way it's got to be.
All right. Our guest tonight, Jake the Snake Roberts, will be talking to Jesse the Body Ventura in our second half hour. I want to thank the young man from Boston for giving us a call. All of our lines are full right now, but we do certainly hope you'll keep trying at 872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. We'll talk to the Body right after the news, and we'll be back after this timeout.
Now, more with America's leading wrestling broadcaster. It's Wrestling with Jim Ross. You can talk with Jim Ross and his guests by calling 872-0750. Now, here's Jim Ross.
Thanks very much, and welcome back, everyone, to the program. We will be talking to Jesse the Body Ventura, the premier color analyst in the sport of wrestling, in just a few moments. I do want to, again, review a little bit. We have not talked about the results of the NWA World Heavyweight Tournament that just concluded a few days ago. I know that some of you have called about that. Again, if you're trying to get through, all 9 lines are busy right now, but our number is 872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. Let's take a look at that tournament. It was a single elimination tournament. On the first night, in an interesting matchup, Stunning Steve Austin defeated Arn Anderson. The Great Muta defeated Barry Windham. Masahiro Chono, the eventual winner, defeated Tony Hallman. And also the final match of the first night saw Scott Norton defeat Bam Bam Bigelow. And then the second night, the first round continued with Kensuke Sasaki defeating Jim the Anvil Neidhart. The tailor-made man advanced over Hiroshi Hase due to an injury, forfeit by Hase. Shinya Hashimoto defeated the Barbarian, and Ravishing Rick Rude defeated the Super Strong Machine. And that took us to the quarterfinals, where Stunning Steve Austin lost to the Great Muta. Chono defeated Norton. Sasaki defeated Taylor, and Rude defeated Hashimoto. The semifinals saw the Great Muta lose to Chono, and Rude defeated Sasaki, and that pitted Chono and Rude in the finals, and Chono won that match to win the NWA Heavyweight Championship. And we're going to be showing you some highlights of that tournament on Wednesday, September the 2nd, during the Clash of the Champions live on TBS in prime time. And a man that will certainly be a part of that broadcast, as I'll be working with him on that, as I do on all the pay-per-views and classes. Jesse the Body Ventura is here in Atlanta. And Jess, thanks for being with us.
Oh, my pleasure, Jim. Always a pleasure to be on your show.
You was today the first time you had been broadcast an event from the Omni?
Today, actually, Jim Ross, is my first time setting foot in the Omni.
Oh, really?
If you can imagine that. Yeah, throughout my career, back in the old territorial days, I never really did get down to the South, and then never had the chance to wrestle on the Omni. Today was my first visit.
I saw a friend of yours yesterday in Tampa, Gene Deckeroff.
You did.
And he wishes you well, and he was, of course, broadcasting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers victory over the Atlanta Falcons, and he is a class man.
Oh, yeah, Gene Deckeroff, phenomenal. Gene and I used to talk wrestling, and we used to talk football when I was down there doing the Bucks, and, of course, we've talked Ron Simmons, our world heavyweight champion, many times down there.
And speaking of Ron Simmons, Jess, this is a very special athlete. I was talking to Bobby Butler of the Falcons on the way back from the stadium to the airport a week before last when we were in Cleveland, and he said that, and I didn't realize this, Bobby was the fastest man on the Florida State team. I can believe that.
Yeah.
But he said the second fastest man on the entire squad in the 40 was Ron Simmons, and I was amazed by that statement.
I would be amazed too. I mean, because here you got a defensive lineman who's out there outrunning running backs and DBs and all that. But like you said, Jimmy, he is an exceptional athlete. He's probably a little bigger right now than he was when he played his college ball. But it's still, it's phenomenal that he would have that kind of speed.
I think that the thing that I like right now, as it's starting to shape,
up is the fact that the WCW promoters and the administration seem to be very interested in Simmons defending the championship against any top contender, and that would mean friend or foe. Obviously, Jake Roberts had an impact on Sting getting his rematch in Baltimore against Big Van Vader, but a Sting-Simmons matchup intrigues me.
Oh, they all do. You know, I made the statement today when I was broadcasting from the Omni with Tony Schiavone. I said, you know, in this business, the minute you become the champion, you have no friends anymore. You know, when you're not the champion, you develop certain friendships at times and certain alliance or allegiance with certain wrestlers. But the minute you become the world heavyweight champion, you have no friends. It's actually a very lonely position to be in because everybody is gunning for you because you're the top dog.
Jess, an interesting situation developed today when Michael Hayes came to the ring with Arn Anderson and beautiful Bobby Eaton. Now, even though that will not air for a week or so, whatever, on syndication, I was really surprised. Now, what do you know about that situation? What did you say about it?
Well, the only thing that I know, of course, you know, there was a deal struck that Anderson and Eaton were going to derail the Steiners to keep them off of Bam Bam Gordy and Dr. Des Steve Williams, the champion. Well, I found that a bit peculiar to begin with when I heard about that deal, because I know Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton, you know, I'm sure they could be, you know, they're professionals and they'll do whatever it takes for the price of money, whatever that price is. But I knew down the line they're both former World Tag Team champions, and they're not going to be gophers for the champions. They're going to be gophers to go after the champion.
I agree with that, and who knows Williams and Gordy any better than Michael Hayes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if they put it this way, if Bam Bam Gordy has an Achilles heel, Michael Hayes is going to know about it.
No kidding. Let's get to the phones, get a few calls while we have Jess on the line. Let's talk to Chris in Austell. You got a comment or question for Jesse the Body Ventura?
Yes, sir, Mr. Ross. How are you tonight?
I'm fine, and thanks for calling.
I'd like to know if Rick Rude won his match today at the Omni.
Yes, Rick Rude did win his match at the Omni today.
I heard that was a little controversial as well.
Well, I'll just say this. It could be. It got very confusing at times because, you know, Medusa was banned from the building, and an incident took place with a security guard, and that's all I'll say.
And we, the fans can make their own conclusions as they see that on television, but that feud is far from over, as they say. Let's talk to Aaron in Atlanta. Aaron, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross and Jesse the Body Ventura.
Hello, Mr. Ross. How you doing today?
Good.
Jesse Ventura, I want to ask you, why did you leave AF and what took you so long to come to another organization as a broadcaster? I respect you as a broadcaster, and you do great work.
Thank you.
And his question is, why did you leave the WWF, and why did it take you so long to get here, I guess?
Well, I left the WWF mainly over a marketing problem. I mean, I own the rights and the registered trademark to my name, and I went out and registered it, and the WWF took exception to that. And so it's that simple as that. We parted company. Why it took me so long to get here to WCW, that I guess you'd have to ask the former heads of WCW. I don't know. You know, I mean, I was out there, and I love wrestling. It's what I wrestled for 11 years, and it was a tough year and a half to sit outside this great sport and look at it as an observer, and I'm just happy I'm here with that World Championship Wrestling now.
Let's talk to Sue in Powder Springs. Sue, you're on AM 750 WSB, Wrestling with Jim Ross and Jesse Ventura.
Hi, Mr. Ross. Hi, Jesse. How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Okay. I just want to say first, Jesse, it's a pleasure to talk to you. I've never seen you in person. I've been a fan for years, but it is a pleasure to finally get to talk to you, and maybe I can see you in person sometime.
Thank you.
And I wanted to ask you, in your opinion, what is the World Wrestling Federation? How come they promote wrestling like a circus?
That's their style. You know, I can't, you know, that's the WWF. That's the style they've developed into. And, you know, it's their choice, I guess, to go that way. I prefer the wrestling style that WCW is offering right now. And it's a more athletic style and maybe a little less of the glitz and glamour. But that's cool, too, because I'll provide the glitz and glamour.
Let's talk to Cody in Heron, Illinois. Cody, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross and Jesse the Body Ventura. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, what all happened at the Omni today?
Well, it was all heck broke loose, as they say. I understand that we mentioned that Simmons retained the title against Big Van Vader. Ravishing Rick Rude with some controversy with a mysterious security guard defeated Nikita Koloff. I understand Stunning Steve Austin retained the TV title over Ricky Steamboat.
Barely.
Steamboat's ribs, I understand, really bothering him there. And I don't know what was the outcome. I understand it got kind of out of hand with Sting and Jake the Snake.
Yeah, to say the least, it got out of hand, and there was a lot of strange happenings at the Omni. It was a strange day at the Omni, to put it as a whole, and anybody here in the local Atlanta area that missed one hell of a wrestling card today.
I guess close to 10,000 people on hand at the Omni today, and when you couple that with all the folks that were going down to tour the Dome, traffic was rather horrendous downtown today. So, but there was an exciting afternoon, and the next event in the Omni, if my records are correct, will be on Sunday, September the 20th.
All right, by now you know this episode and JR's gimmick are sponsored by BlueChew.com. If you haven't tried it already, what are you waiting for? This is a product that Jim uses every week, every single week. Some poor soul is getting mud hole stomped in them and walk dry. Okay, not really, but I am saying this. It's going to make you feel like a kid again. It's the real deal. Jim swears by it. I've tried it. It's legit. My wife says I'm only allowed to use it when I'm on good behavior. Serious business. You're going to love this. It's got the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Take them anytime, day or night. You can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. You sign up and that's it. It's that simple. It's so simple. You sign up at BlueChew.com. You talk to one of their licensed medical providers. And once you're approved, man, you get your gimmicks in just a few days. And here's the best part. It's all done online. Now, let me break that down. You don't have to wait in line at the pharmacy. No awkward conversations. You don't have to wait in a doctor's office. You do this from the comfort of your home, and then it shows up in a discreet package at your front door. And did I mention that these are made right here in the USA? So you can feel good about that too. Little red, white, and Blue Chew. Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. So discover your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it. And we got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code JR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com. The promo code is JR to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. We want to thank Blue Chew for sponsoring today's podcast. And Jim's Ween.
Let's go to another long distance call. Miracle is in Mountain View, Missouri. She is in the Ozark Mountains, and you are on with Jesse the Body Ventura.
Oh, hi, Jesse.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. I wanted to ask you two quick questions. Who was the toughest wrestler you ever wrestled? And also, if you would ever consider getting the tights back on if they had, like, all the guys out of retirement to wrestle.
A Masters tournament. The senior tour.
Wait a minute. First of all, I ain't a master. I retired in my prime. I'm still in my prime. Who is the toughest? The first question. I would say the meanest, toughest guy who I dreaded getting into the ring with the most was a fella by the name of Maurice Mad Dog Vachon. Yeah. He was a great Olympic wrestler out of Canada who chose to not even use an Olympic hold. He was a madman in the ring, and probably why I lost some of the hair on the top of my head was due to Vachon yanking it out. Would I ever consider getting back in the ring? You never say never to anything, but I chose to retire when I did at the top of my game, and I want to, I don't second guess myself, so I would say no, I would not get back in the ring.
Let's talk to Michael in Marietta. Michael, you're on with Jim Ross and Jesse the Body Ventura on AM 750 WSB.
Hi, Jim. Hi, Jesse.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. Jesse, I was wondering, in the WWF, I've been following you for a while, how you had the Jesse the Body Award.
Yeah.
And Rick Rude won it.
Sure.
Would you consider doing that in WCW?
Well, sure, I'd love to have that, but I don't think there's any need for it because Rick Rude would win it again.
How about Medusa? I would throw my absentee vote in there if it would count,
To have the Medusa win the Jesse the Body Award? Come on, Ross. I've never dressed in drag in my life.
I know that. Well, Jess, listen, I really appreciate you taking time to be on with us here today. I know that you're busy and you're the mayor of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. You got a big city council meeting tomorrow night?
Yeah, big one one. And, you know, the other added attraction today at the Omni was E.T. was there doing a little filming today.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so for all those wrestling fans out there, keep your eyes open because there's going to be a big major story dealing with WCW and myself coming on Entertainment Tonight.
We'll keep our eye on that. Jess, it's great talking with you, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you soon. And again, thanks very much for being with us tonight.
My pleasure, Jimbo, and good luck to the Falcons, and we'll see you down the road at the next arena.
Okay, buddy. Thanks a lot. Jesse the Body Ventura here on the program tonight, and we're going to be going back to the telephones and taking your calls. We're going to talk to our friend Mike from Marietta. Has been holding a heck of a long time about the tournament. We're going to spend some time with Mike in just a few moments, and more with you as well. Our numbers are 872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. This portion of Wrestling with Jim Ross is brought to you by the October edition of WCW Magazine.
Is Wrestling with Jim Ross here on AM 750 WSB. And if you think you're hot enough to handle it, call 872-0750 or 1-800-WSB-TALK.
I think Mike needs to pound away a little bit more at that decaf. A little hyper tonight. Our meteorologist, the legendary Kirk Headlock Mellish, says that tonight it's going to be partly cloudy and cool, the low of 66 degrees. Monday through Wednesday, partly cloudy with scattered thunder showers on Wednesday. Why don't it just rain Monday and Tuesday as well? It's been raining every other day. The highs each day, 82 to 86 degrees. Right now, it's 67 degrees here in Atlanta on West Peachtree. And I'm going to go back to the phones because Mike has been holding for about a week now. And, Mike, thanks for holding, my friend.
Oh, I've got telephone elbow just waiting for you, Jim.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It adds a whole new dimension to listening to the program on the phone for the entire show. First, let me say, Jesse and Jake on the same show. Wow. I wish I could have talked to either one of them, but that wasn't possible.
They'll be back.
Good. First, let me make a comment. I don't believe that Ron Simmons will hold the title for a long time. He seems to be a bit streaky and seems to need a reason to get up in order to get in the peak of his form, and seems to have trouble maintaining that. And that's just a casual observation about it. And now I wanted to ask you, you all have been talking about mixing up some friend, foe, and what have you, and I'm basically issuing a challenge to Bill Watts to deliver. We don't want to see a Ross Perot where he promises and then backs out at the last minute. I'm hoping that this won't be the kind of thing that you only get to see if you go out to the major arenas. I'd like to see some of it on TV.
Yeah, me too.
Some of the things I like, that spontaneity of some of the smaller promotions. They don't take a long time to do things, and especially with the WWF, which is the antithesis, where you have to wait 6 months for anything to happen. It just makes it kind of hard to believe that feuds could exist for that long.
I think what you're saying, Mike, is absolutely true, and I think that programs like this and other radio programs that give the fans the opportunity to express themselves is really beneficial. I think fans want to see, say, for example, with Simmons as the champion, would like to see a Simmons-Sting match, a Simmons Steamboat match, perhaps, or a Wyndham Simmons. A lot of matchups, I think, would be a very entertaining, exciting contest. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Simmons Vader, a Simmons Rude, a Simmons Cactus. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think that we can look at both sides of the coin. Hey, I would have liked to have seen Vader wrestle Rude for the world title.
That would have been something, or even Jake against Vader, or any number of combinations.
Sure.
But as I say, I want to see some of it, on television. I don't want to just have to go to the arena. I think that would do a lot to really help motivate interest, and plus you've got a large enough roster of wrestlers at the time to make it and keep it interesting, unlike some smaller promotions, thinking maybe like of Global, who runs such a small roster of wrestlers that they can't really put on anything entertaining for any length of time.
All right, Mike. What else on your mind?
That was pretty much it.
All right.
I appreciate your time.
Okay, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate you listening and being so patient with us. Let's get Joseph. Are you still? Let's see. Joseph, are you still there? Hello? I think we lost him. I think he went to bed. It's not even bedtime yet for him. Let's talk down. Let's go down to talk to Jim in Snellville. What happened there? Are we all right now?
Yeah.
Jim, are you there?
Yeah, right.
Can you still hear?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
I think you're doing a good job with the Falcons.
Oh, well, good. You've been listening to the games?
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm working hard at it. It's a little different than football. Than wrestling, but I'm having a lot of
I
fun.
have another question, too.
Go ahead.
You know where Lex Luger's been?
Where has he been?
Yeah.
He's probably been at the Main Event Fitness Center, which he works at, and I don't know where the WBF, the bodybuilding thing. I got a feeling where it's going. I think it's going south, but
Is he going to the WWF or what?
oh, I'm sure that he'll eventually wrestle in the WWF, and that'll be good for him. That'll be that their style is probably very indicative of his abilities.
Do you think who do you think won between the Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage?
Knowing I don't know, probably I would go with the Ultimate Warrior. He's not. Savage is a better wrestler, but for some reason I just feel like the Ultimate Warrior probably win the match.
All right.
Savage is a much better wrestler, though. Appreciate your calling that, my friend. And Jim from Snellville, thanks for calling. Let's see. Let's talk to Jason in Aikens, South Carolina. Hello, Jason.
Hey, Jim. Hey, Jim.
How you doing?
All right. First I'd like to say I'd like to see you and Tony Schiavone hosting WCW Saturday night.
Okay, well, I'll pass that along. Tony does a great job, and that wouldn't bother me. Be a good deal.
I have a question. Has Bill Watts made any movement towards getting back the Rock and Roll Express?
The Rock and Roll Express have been discussed, and I'm sure that in the next few months, when the opportunity presents itself and their schedule permits, I'm sure we'll see them back in WCW. They're very well thought of in this organization. Robert in Villa Rica. How are you, Robert?
I'm fine. Comment about Jake that I believe it's going to be a plus in his career coming to WCW, where he'll have more run for his money in WCW than he will in the WWF, because really, in my opinion, he has too much talent to go to waste in WWF right now.
I agree with you, Robert. You're exactly right. Those are very good points, and we appreciate you calling. Let's talk to Greg in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hi, Greg.
How you doing?
Good, thanks.
I'm really glad to see what Bill Watts has done to WCW. What I'd like to know, if WCW has any plans of coming to Pittsburgh, we don't have nothing. We've at WWF, but I won't go to the circus.
Yeah, I tell you, we are trying to develop a local television following with our worldwide show there in your great city. We're talking to some potential promoters for the market, and if we can get a couple more things that are basically out of our control taken care of, I think you'll see Pittsburgh as a regular stop on the WCW tour. And Greg, we appreciate very much you calling tonight here from Pittsburgh. Well, listen, it has blown by again. I'm sorry we couldn't get Patty in Nashville on and a couple of our other callers. We appreciate very much you calling. I hope that you'll call again. Don't forget that all the new TV broadcasters start this weekend on TV on many of the programs. Tony, Larry, Missy, and Teddy. We'll kick it off Saturday morning on the Power Hour. Don't forget to join us for the Falcon football next weekend. I certainly appreciate all the wrestling fans listening to the Falcons. They're a great team, great organization. It's going to be a lot of fun in the Dome, and we'll be on the air at 11 o'clock Sunday morning with the Atlanta Falcons. And we'll see you back here next Sunday night at 9. Good night, everybody.
For the first time ever, Starcast goes international. Oceania Pro Wrestling and Visit Victoria present Starcast Down Under, set to take Ballarat, Victoria by storm from April 11th through to April 14th, bringing the Starcast experience to Australia. And with all the staples of Starcast that have made it a wrestling fan's dream destination. Meet and greets with your favorite wrestling stars of yesterday and today. Live stage shows including a Sunday with Bret Hart, a retrospective on his Hall of Fame career, including a special watch-along celebration of the 30th anniversary of the Hitman's legendary WrestleMania 10 match against his brother Owen. Also including an audience Q&A with the excellence of execution. We'll also have live wrestling shows, in-ring action including Mickie James's all-women's show, Her, and a special supercard, Bret Hart's Australian Stampede. All this along with the photo ops, autographs, merch, and memorabilia, making Ballarat the place to be this April. Never before has a weekend like this taken place in Australia until now. Starcast Down Under, presented by Oceania Pro Wrestling and Visit Victoria. Tickets are available now. Visit starcast.com for more information.